Hi, welcome back to my channel, Fabulously Frugal and Fancy. I'm Brandy, and today we are going to do some patriotic DIYs. Very easy, very simple, and you don't need a ton of things. You do need some things if you want to do it the way that I did, but there are also other alternatives as well. I went shopping at Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, some at Walmart, I believe, but mostly Dollar Tree and a few pieces from Hobby Lobby. I hope that you enjoyed this. This video is part of a collaboration, and we will talk more about that later, but for right now, let's go make something fabulous. Now I just want to thank our host, Broke Girl Aesthetic, and our co-host for doing this collaboration, Small Creator Sunday. Let's get started. Alright, so jumping right in here, these are some Dollar Tree signs. This one was an old Easter one. I just love the shape of it. So I'm painting it white, and I have another little sign over here, another square one. I rushed through this. I'm not showing you very much of me painting because you've all seen people paint signs before. These are just two Dollar Tree ones, a square, like the block type one that has the thicker side so it can kind of stand up on its own. And the other one is just a plaque type shape that I like. I like that shape of that one. So I gave these two full coats of white, just regular apple barrel paint in the regular white. And I apologize if you hear me sniffle a little bit. My allergies are acting up just a little bit today. The mold count here is very high. Again, just giving the two full coats. Trying to decide if I wanted to paint the back and was like, no, I don't need to. Alright, so here they are completely dry. And I also have these wooden stars that I got from Hobby Lobby. I have these window clings that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just kind of dry fitting those first before I add any Mod Podge to see what I want to put on each sign. I do end up doing a third sign as well. The white stars that you see there, they were just plain wooden stars. They came several in a pack. There were 3 different sizes. I got those at Hobby Lobby, the wood pieces. They were all like 40% off, so I ended up getting the bag for like $1.25 or something. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just dry fitting these to see what will fit on, which window cling will fit on which piece. And I'm just using regular Mod Podge. This is the matte Mod Podge. And on the smaller sign, I go over the entire sign. On the larger one, I just kind of go over the back. And then I also add some of those window cling stars to the wooden stars just to give them a little bit of color and dimension. I'm just rubbing on some Mod Podge and then applying the window cling on top of that so that the window cling will actually stick to my pieces. So Memorial Day weekend, what are your plans for the weekend? Anybody got any big plans this weekend? We are going to a cookout at a friend's tomorrow, and on Monday just relaxing at home. We're going to do a small, cooking on the grill, but not like a cookout. But we are going to one tomorrow. I like Memorial Day because it's kind of like the beginning of actual summer. And if you know me at all, you know that I do not like the winter, and that I love the summer. Alright, so on this one, I just fold down half of the window cling, and I just add Mod Podge to the back of the window cling, and then I lay that part down and flip over the other side, and then I just realized that it was a little bit easier just to add it right to the wood instead of to the window cling itself. And I just smooth that out with my hand, make sure there's no air bubbles or anything in there. Alright, sorry I left this in. I stepped away for a second to grab something, and I can't believe I just left this in there. But I'm trying to get this video pretty quick, so I don't want to go back and re-edit the actual video. I apologize for that. Just give me just a second, and here I'm back. And I apologize now. I noticed there is a cord hanging in my camera angle. I apologize for that. I'm not sure. Oh, it was my light cord. I'm working with a new tripod, and I'm trying to get the hang of it. I apologize for the cord hanging down. I'm trying different angles and so forth, but I apologize for the bad angles right now. I'm working on it. It'll be improved in just a little while. I'm working in a very small space in my craft room because I am redoing my entire craft room, and it is a complete and total mess at the moment. So I cleaned off part of my table here where I had things separated, and I am doing some crafting in just a very small space. So I apologize for the cramped angles here, but they will be getting better in the next week or so. I am completing the area so that I can actually get some good shots for you. This wooden piece is just from the Dollar Tree. It's one of their, they just call it a wooden plaque. It's got beveled edges and just a, cute little design to the shape of it. So I thought that would make a cute sign too. And again, I believe this one came from the Dollar Tree a while ago. And I'm painting that blue, and I'm painting some of the ridges around the edge blue as well. And this is a oh, what is the name of this blue, this paint? This is from Folk Art. It is a metallic blue sapphire, and I just love the metallic finish. It just gives it a nice sheen to the paint, so I'm using that blue. It comes out like a royal, very American flag blue to me. And I had some extra because I just poured a little too much on that plaque. And I wanted to go around the edge of this sign just to add detail to that beautiful edge there. So I'm taking a small brush, and I am just going around the edge, just freehanding it. I don't care if it's like a perfect even line all the way around. I didn't want to tape it off or anything. I just wanted to add a dark blue line around there to add some blue to the sign, and also just to give it some definition there. And I did this very slowly. This is sped up, so I just took my time, had a small brush, and using the extra paint that I had accidentally poured out onto that plaque. That's why you should use a palette instead of just pouring your paint directly on your piece, because if you get too much, you're not in trouble. But I was able to use it, so it wasn't a big deal. And here I'm just getting the very corner edge, the outside edge, because this sign is just like an MDF. And the edges looked really rough. I had actually sanded these because the sign itself was just really rough around the edges. And I really wanted the detail of the design of that sign to kind of stand out. That's why I wanted the blue trim around it. And when I paint, I end up getting a ton of paint on my hands. And I always end up having it all over my hand. So I'm holding the sign down with one finger, and I'm making sure to hold the other fingers up, because with the white paint and the blue paint that's on my fingers, I didn't want to leave any prints or any smudges or anything on that white. I really like these window clings. This one says One Nation, and it's just the cutout of the United States. Looks like the flag in the background as the cutout of the United States, and I really like this. I think it makes a beautiful sign. And I'm just going over to make sure I don't have any big brush strokes where I knew I had a little bit of extra paint on there. So and I'm just looking at the other window cling and I'm realizing that it's red, white, and blue. And if I put it over the blue, those letters aren't going to show up. So I'm leaving the backing on that part. And I just cut around the backing so that I have it attached. And I'm sorry, that's a little out of frame. Again, I'm working in a very small space at the moment, and I'm working to fix that problem. I apologize for that. I know it's a pain when you can't see everything that we are doing, and I apologize for that. And so now I'm taking, again, I'm working out of the screen. I will jump back into the screen in just a moment. But I'm taking those white stars, and I had Mod Podged on the stars that were the window cling stars that were on that piece. And I am just going around the edges, kind of like a dry brush around the very edges of those stars with red and blue. And here I move into frame. I realized what I was doing and that I had moved out of frame, and I apologize for that. Just giving them a little bit of color. If the star in the middle was red, I did blue around the edge. And if the star in the middle was blue, I did red around the edge. Just so that all of the stars are actually red, white, and blue. Alright, and I continue to do those stars until those are all finished. I'm getting my red paint. This is the Waverly paint. They had several on clearance at the Walmart near me, and I just picked them up. I'd never used any of the paints before, but they work just fine. I like them. Here I'm doing kind of a red line around this sign. Again, sticking with that red, white, and blue theme, of course, for Patriotic. And with this line, I'm not caring if it's perfectly straight. I just want kind of a border around. I considered painting the sides, but you'll see what I do different there. I did not paint the sides of this square. I wanted it to be something a little bit different because it is so chunky and so thick. I wanted it to kind of stand out a little bit. So I do something a little different with that in just a moment. And I'm taking that red paint and, like I said, just dry brushing around the edges of that star just a little bit, just giving it a little bit of an accent. And I wouldn't even call it dry brushing. My brush is wet, but I'm just kind of tapping it around the edges, not making it a straight line or anything, just making it look like almost like it was spray painted on, and it was like the off spray of the spray paint or something. Just to give it a little bit of color around the edges and a little bit more definition, so when it's on the signs, they just pop a little bit more. And again, I left in too much, and I left in where I painted all of these little stars, and I apologize for that. I believe this is the last one right here that I'm doing, and that should be the end of that. Alright, that is the last of that. And now I'm taking that blue sign, and I still have one ridge left, and I am painting that red just to give it a little border of its own. It's at a different height than the upper ledge, so the blue and the red. And again, just taking a small brush and just going all the way around that edge. Trying to keep paint off my hands as much as possible, but like I said, I always end up getting so much paint on my hands. Later on, I'm using a stain, and it's a bright blue stain, and I end up using that with gloves, and I still got the blue stain on my hands. So I'm not sure how I end up doing that every time, but that's okay. It washes off. Alright, so here I had glued a couple of the stars down on that one, and I didn't show that part of it, but I'm taking this ribbon from Dollar Tree. It's kind of like a burlap ribbon, but it's red, white, and blue stripes. And I'm just measuring how much I'm going to need to put that around the edge. And then I'm just folding it in half because it is actually a perfect at the half point. So then I'm just slicing this ribbon in half so that I can use this for the border all the way around the rim on this sign. I think it makes it stand out a little bit more, and it just looks nice. Nice finishing touch, excuse me if I could talk today. Nice finishing touch to this. Alright, so I'm just going to use some Mod Podge, and I don't go over the top of it with the Mod Podge, I just go under it. I just want it to hold it on there. I don't want it to be, you know, as long as it holds it on there, that's all that I'm worried about. And this is thin, so I'm not worried that it's not going to hold it on. Now when I get to that corner, I stop and I turn the frame. And then I wanted to pull it tight around these corners just so that it gave like a very crisp crease there at the corners. I didn't want it to like round off the corners. And then I just apply more Mod Podge and take the ribbon around on the last side here. Take the Mod Podge. And I go all the way up to the corner and then just cut off the excess. And there it is. Let that dry for a little bit while I work on this one. Now this window cling, like I said, it was on the backing, but it kept peeling off the backing, so I used a little bit of Mod Podge to attach it to its backing permanently. And then I put some Mod Podge on the blue side, and I put the window cling down on there. Now I would not do this if I were you. This ended up not holding the backing down, and it did try to bubble, so I did end up using hot glue to hold this sign down, but I don't show that part. And no, I did not wait for the Mod Podge to dry before I decided to add my stars. Actually, I think I only had one star to that one. And as you can see, I'm trying to get the top part to lay down a little bit more. I'm tapping it with the Mod Podge, and the top is curling a little bit. So I do go back in later and just add some hot glue. Alright, moving on to DIY number 2. This is the first of the 2 wreaths that I make in this one. These burlap ribbons I got at Dollar Tree, and I want to use, this is the same one I used just on that sign just a minute ago. And at first I think I'm going to wrap it around the square wreath frame, wreath form, wreath frame, whatever you want to call it. But I get about halfway around. I realize I'm not going to have enough of that to go all the way around, and I don't want to mix the patterns. The other one, oh, excuse me. The other one with the stars and the stripes like this was kind of a diagonal of a similar pattern, but it wouldn't have matched up perfectly, so I just didn't want to do that. So I ended up changing up my mind here in just a moment. I realized that it's not going to be enough. I hadn't glued it down, so I just unwind it and take it all the way off. And refiguring what I'm going to do here. And I decide to, it's the perfect width, I decide to lay it across and just go around it like on the top like this. Kind of making a frame out of the frame. This is a little bit difficult because there's not enough to wrap around the edges, like the top and bottom. There is on the sides. So it was a little bit difficult. I used a lot of hot glue, and then I ended up using There I go with my glove. That glove protects my hand from getting burnt. I have had quite a few burns, so I have these gloves. These are Carhartt gloves, and they are silicone hands, and I end up using these a lot when I'm doing hot gluing big things, especially if I'm using something where the hot glue can come through. So then I flip it over and I'm wedging my hot glue gun in between the wire frame and the material, and I'm trying to get it to stick. I'm using my spatula, trying to get it to stick that way, and then I end up using the little clamps that come from the Dollar Tree, the ones, what you'll see one sitting right there, the pink. And I glue a little bit, and then I clamp it, and then I glue a little bit, and I clamp it, and that ended up working really well. It held really well that way. The problem is that the wreath form is shaped, and the middle one is higher, so my ribbon didn't want to just like, form to the mold and just hold on to the glue. And so I end up, like I said, I end up using some of the clamps. This is working with the spatula a little bit, but it's taking a long time because I have to hold each section. And then I was like, yeah, it's going to take me forever. But on the sides it will wrap all the way around and you can glue it to itself. That was a lot easier. So, I had left enough on the sides. The top and bottom were the problems because there wasn't enough ribbon to wrap around it. And please don't mind the mess in the background. Again, my table was piled high with stuff because I am in the middle of reorganizing and going through and putting things in different categories, but I had to clear off some space to be able to craft today, so I'm working on about a third of my table at this point. So I do the same from the top part of the frame to the bottom part of the frame. And here I start using some of the clips to hold that down where it was already coming back up. You're seeing a lot of my arm today. I apologize for that. Again, I will have this fixed before the next video. At least this camera angle will not be what you see right now. And as you can see, I keep flipping it over this way, keep turning it that way, just looking for the best way, and I run a bead of hot glue, and then I take my clamps, pull the material up, and clamp it to it so the hot glue has a chance to completely set up. And then I move around to the bottom and I do the same thing. Kind of run the hot glue in between the bottom wire and the fabric, and then I just run a bead of hot glue and flip my clamps over because it doesn't take them long to hold, but the clamps were a lifesaver in this project. They really did work well. And that one spot over there, the glue was not at the right spot, so it hadn't touched the frame part at all. Alright, I did skip some, and then I showed you that. Now here I'm kind of arranging, trying to figure out how I want everything, what I want. This wooden cutout of the United States, I picked up at Hobby Lobby. Their wood pieces were 40% off, I believe, 40 or 50% off. Okay, and this stain is called Unicorn Spit. Comes in a lot of bright, vibrant colors, and it is water-based, so it moves around pretty easily if you spray your piece with some water. And then you put the unicorn spit on top of the water. As you can see, it just kind of spreads. And then you use a rag and you just stain the rest of it. And then if you got it too dark, you can add a little bit more water, keep rubbing with your towel, it'll come off. I wanted this pretty dark, but I still wanted to be able to see the different the wood grain and the states, so I didn't want to use a paint. I wanted to use the stain. And I really love the unicorn spit stain. I've used it before. You can mix colors and kind of do a marbling effect, which I did on a dresser. It sits on our back porch room. Alright, so here I'm kind of arranging. I had that wooden cutout that said freedom. This is a flag from the Dollar Tree. It comes in a pack of 3. I use the other 2 in my other wreath here in just a moment. And I'm playing with around with the arrangement. I have these, I believe these are, I don't know, carnations, but they actually reminded me of the flowers that they always give you on Veterans Day when you make a donation. Those little poppy flowers. That's kind of what it reminded me of, and I was like, oh, that's kind of appropriate. And so I wanted to use those. I thought they were pretty and gave a little pop of color with the red. And so I was just arranging it. So how I wanted everything. I forgot to put that flower back on. It had popped off its stem. I didn't want a headless flower on my wreath here. So I'm laying these 3 pieces in the middle. And I like how those look. So I'm taking a zip tie. And I've got the 3, basically the 3 stems. The pole of the flag and the 2 stems. And I have them crossed over each other. And I just zip tie them all together. Alright, so here I am. I take the flags, the whole piece, the flag and the carnations. I glue them to the back of the wooden piece. And then I'm going to take some of this painter's tape, which took me forever to get the package open. Did not want to open, that's for sure. And I just take a large piece. I put it like in the hot glue and kind of worked it into the hot glue just to make sure that was really secure on the back. That worked really well. And so here I am again placing them all, and then I'm using hot glue to attach the wooden piece to the ribbon that's on the frame. And then I have this white freedom cutout. This came in a pack again from Hobby Lobby. This one was not on sale. It just said freedom. There were some that said America, but those were blue. So I wanted the white, the pop of white there. And I'm just going around anywhere where that touches. It's actually really secure and really put on there well. I'm going to show you final reveals at the very end. I actually show you the 2 wreaths that I make on the same door because it's hard to see on our garage door because it actually hangs on the inside of the glass and you can see it from outside. So this is the second wreath that I'm making, and I got this welcome sign at Hobby Lobby. Again, the wood pieces were 40% off. Actually, no, this one was 50% off because it was part of the spring line, and their springtime stuff was 50% off. So this was, I don't know, I think it was originally $5, so like $2.50, and I just loved the font and the size of it. So I'm using the unicorn spit in the blue to stain this as well. And I'm kind of just adding a little bit at a time. My rag is still really wet from the last project, so I'm not adding any more water. But if you let the stain go on the wood by itself without any water, it will like get really dark in like that one little circle. So I didn't want that, so I wanted to spread it out a little bit. Alright, this little, I think they're called a tobacco basket. This was from Christmas. I bought it after Christmas, and I got it for like a nickel at Dollar General when their Christmas stuff went on sale. It had like a little Merry Christmas thing in the middle, and I took that out, and I'm just kind of playing around here to see what I'm going to do. But first I realized I want to add some of these little stars onto this sign like I had the others. So that's all done there. And then I have another thing of these carnations. Trying to figure out how many, if I'm going to use them in the basket. I know I want to make some sort of a thing for the door that comes in through our garage. So I cut the flowers apart. I ended up not using the flowers, just used one in the middle of the bow. And then I used my
aviator snips to cut off some of the stick that held the flags. I didn't want it to hang out too far below the bottom of the basket. Kind of playing with it for a minute, just see. Then I realized my flowers are red, my basket's red. That's not really going to be, you know, I didn't really like that. So then I was like, okay, well, let's see if I put the flags in here. And I kind of liked how that looked. So then I was like, okay, I can lay the flowers aside and I won't use those. But I end up using one later on. So alright, so I just used some hot glue on this basket. I used very little on the actual basket because I figure I can take this apart and reuse that little tobacco basket for Christmas or Valentine's Day or the fall even. I think it would be pretty in the fall. And I'm gluing the welcome to the tops of the flags, and I've glued the flag to the top of the basket, but the flag went through the basket, so it's pretty solid in there. And then I'm taking, I think I used 4 different ribbons. I used this white with a silver trim, this burlap ribbon. I used the 2 different burlap ribbons from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just cutting the same length of all of these, or about the same length. My measuring, unless I'm using a measuring tape, it is not always accurate, but it works out in the end. But if I want something exactly accurate, I will use a measuring tape and I will get it completely right. And measure twice, cut once is what they always say, so I always do that. I am always measuring twice with things if I'm actually measuring. I do run the ribbon along the sides of the other ribbon just to get them as close as possible. That red ribbon there is left over from Christmas. It's a red glitter. Thought that would be pretty for Patriotic. And then here's another striped one. And I'm just laying those on my lap because I'm running out of table space so that I can get them kind of straight. Trying to move things up out of the way just a little bit so that I can work here. I line up the ends here, and I was going to try to put them all in one bow together. That wasn't working out too well, so I did individual bows and then just stacked them up on top of each other. So I did the bow by making like the awareness ribbon, and I grabbed one of my little trusty clips so that I can do the next one. I do the awareness ribbon, tuck it in, and then I just take the other one and use that same clip and clip them right together. I use that red mesh, glittery, sparkly. I'm covered in red glitter right now from that. And then I'm taking my last one, doing the exact same thing, trying to keep them about the same size, and I'm just putting that one right in the back. Grabbing a black zip tie. I should have used white, but that's okay. I cover it with a red flower in the end. And I just squish all these together. Cut off the zip tie, and then I'm just kind of fluffing, pulling, rearranging, seeing how I want it to be. And then I'm dovetailing all the ends of all my tails. I think dovetailing them just gives them a finished look. It makes them look more high-end, more professional, and less homemade, I think. And besides, it just looks pretty. That's what matters in the end. Not looking expensive or high-end, just that you like it and you like how it looks. That's all that matters. Alright, so then I grab another zip tie, and I just, again, I don't want to glue it down because I want to be able to reuse this basket. I want the welcome to show, so I'm just adjusting, pulling down, rearranging before I tighten that zip tie all the way. And I tightened it and pulled that off. And then just giving another little dab of hot glue somewhere that looked like it was a little loose. Oh, on the top L, I was gluing it actually to the basket because it looked a little loose, and then I was waiting for the glue to set up, so I just used that clamp. That clamp came from IKEA, and they're pretty inexpensive there too, but they are a little wider than the ones from Dollar Tree, so you can get something a little thicker inside of there. I just take one of those carnations and I stick that right there in the middle, and that is all for this one. All right, nope, actually what I do is I take that twine that was originally on that welcome sign and I re-thread it through and use that as a hanger for my wreath. After that, we are going to have the final reveal. I hope you guys will take a moment, just subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these patriotic DIYs, what you would do differently. Let me know if you ever heard of or used unicorn spit stain. It is a lot of fun to work with, and it's something that I plan to use a little bit more on my channel. So it's a lot of fun if you've never used it. All right, here are our signs, and I used some of those America cutouts and another one of those Freedoms just to complete the little look here on this shelf. This is in our entryway, and then here's the one wreath. I really love how this one turned out. I think it's so vibrant and so pretty, and I really like how that turned out. Here's a little closer look, just showing you a little bit of the detail. You can still see the cutout lines of all the states and the wood grain. Here's the second one with the flags and the welcome sign, and just kind of having to refluff the bows a little bit, but I love how this one turned out. And again, I don't show you that on the other door because it's hard to see through the glass with the light shining on it. And here's my little helper. She was by my side all day. This is Mo.
So what did you think of those? I hope that you liked these patriotic DIYs. I wanted to put this out on Memorial Day. I usually do patriotic decor, put it up on Memorial Day or a few days before, and keep it up through the 4th of July. I just love the patriotic decor, so I put that up, and I just like to leave it up until the 4th of July. And then I can switch over to other things after, the end of July. So I like the American flag. I'm very proud to be an American. We are blessed in this country. I know that our country is not perfect, but we are very blessed to live in the United States of America. And I just love to show that I am proud of my country, regardless of its faults and regardless of everything else. So, again, I hope you enjoyed these DIYs. I hope that you have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. And if you are not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It does help with YouTube. I am trying to reach my 1,000 subscribers. I'm a long way away at this point, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. And with your help, if you would like this video, leave me a comment below. That will all help in the YouTube algorithm so that they can share me with other people that haven't seen me before. So I hope to see you back with the next video. Have a blessed day. Bye.